Let's start with the SaaS venture. Can you tell me a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so I started the SaaS Venture podcast a little over 4 years ago with a co-host. And it really came out of my co-host and I were very frequent presenters on the internet marketing, digital marketing conference series. And so many of these talks are always very tactically driven, some strategy, but a lot of tactically driven for people on ranking on Google and converting clients and digital leads and all that kind of stuff. And I was just feeling burnt out on tactical talks all the time. So I just said to him, hey, he runs a company around software tools to track Google ranking and Google map rankings and things like that. I was like, do you just want to do a podcast where we just talk business, what we're doing with our companies, how we build our software, why we build those things, sales, marketing, customer retention, all of those different aspects? And he was like, yeah. And I was like, great. This for me is a needed break from tactical after tactical talk that I'm giving. So that started 45 some episodes ago, 4 years ago. We've been on and off with consistency, sometimes once a month, sometimes there's a 3 or 4 month gap as we're running our businesses. And yeah, that's gone the last 4 years until just recently, where I think he, just the same way I burnt out on tactical, he was like, I just really can't place doing the podcast with you in my top 10. I'm super busy with what I'm doing, and totally fine. We're great friends. We still talk weekly. We're just not hitting record and talking those things. I think he's someone that ultimately is a little more wired to work in his business than on the business. I definitely love both. So I've recorded a couple of podcasts and released recently of me solo, which is definitely a brand new way of doing things I haven't done in kind of that hosting yourself or diary format. But it to me, it's really great because it's just like laying on the professional Davenport and doing a little therapy for myself and talking out loud with what I'm doing as far as sales and marketing challenges, wins, what's going on with the product, things like that. So I'm having fun with it. I'm looking forward to the new solo format. I will probably mix in an interview or two as we go along, just not to be stale and keep it fresh. But it's also allowing me to control the schedule. I've been putting these new episodes out about every 2 to 3 weeks. So it's been great.
Running two podcasts, I'd say that it's a signal that you see the benefits of a podcast to your business, to your personal brand, to your founder experience. I'm curious, what benefits have you seen from, let's start with the SaaS venture over your 4 years running the show, and then we can talk about Conversion Cast.
Yeah. For SaaS venture, I would say the benefits are just primarily personal and selfish. It has helped me organize my thoughts. It's helped me talk out loud and then sometimes listen back to them. It helped me, especially in the co-host format, get someone else's opinion or see what questions they have when they're asking about it. It's allowed me reflection points where, especially as a founder, nothing can ever move fast enough, quick enough, all those kind of things. But then sometimes when I go and put together, here's what I want to talk about in that podcast, and we haven't recorded for 6 weeks or 8 weeks, and then I put it down on paper and I'm going to talk about it, then I'm like, oh, you are being a little too expectant here. There's actually a lot of meat here, and that's pretty significant. And so it brings my perspective back to maybe being a little bit more grateful, appreciative, those kind of things, instead of, no, nothing's good enough. We're not moving fast enough, not closing enough deals, right? All those kind of things. So it's selfishly just been really all to my benefit from what's there. The fun part is when I hear from others that they listened to it and what was helpful. They've reached out for different reasons. During the first year of the podcast, which I didn't see coming, I actually sold the company that I was a partner and the CEO of at the time. So we recorded episodes on what it was like to exit the company and cool. What went into the whole process of the initial discussions and LOI, the due diligence, closing, structure of the deal, all that kind of stuff. And I've had at least a dozen founders reach out to me. It's, hey, because you've talked about this and whatever else, it gave me insight. I also have a few more questions for you because I'm thinking about this or possibly going into this. So it's always great when I talk to people that listen, that get pieces out of this, because I'm the same way. I consume a ton of podcast content. And if anything, I wish there was more out there. When I was going to sell the business, I could not find podcast episodes where people were talking about selling a business that was our size. What should we consider? What matters? What to watch out for? All of that kind of stuff. I was in the mode of let me consume whatever I can find to be smarter in this process. And I couldn't find it. So I still, there's probably at least 5 or 6 different SaaS podcasts that I listen to where when I check my podcast feed, I'm like, oh, why don't they have a new episode out? Like I'm looking forward to listening and hearing what they're going through. What can I learn from them? All of those elements.